Okay.
Start recording, start streaming.
Okay. Well, I am recording. I have been since I could just record the call.
Well, I meant I'm recording the video as well.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Didn't we kind of talk about possibly doing that just so it's easier for you for the upload anyway?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at where you are. You are not in position at all. What happened to you, Ben?
If you moused over your Skype window,
Oh,
it could have
I,
potentially moved me.
I totally did. I totally did that.
Yep.
That's me. Look at Ben all in the wrong spot.
Oh no.
Drop him down, fixing Ben. There he is. That's where we want Ben. Hello,
Oh,
Ben.
now I'm losing video. Oh no. Now it's fixed. Okay.
All right. Good lord. I think we got
Yes.
it.
Okay. Cool.
I think we got it. I think we got it.
I got it. I got it. Yep. Going back to Star Wars.
Everything
All
goes
right.
back to Star Wars.
Well, let's just go ahead and get this going then.
Okay,
How's that?
is the audio working though? Hold on.
I don't know.
We should both talking.
Okay. What do you
Everything
want me
goes
to talk
back
about?
to Star Wars.
Well, let's just go ahead and get this going then.
Okay.
Oh, see, I can hear
Is
me.
the audio
I can hear
working?
you. Yep, it's working.
We're good. We got it.
Yay.
I
All
set it
right.
up in not record time, but it's set up.
Yay, all right. So, okay, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable, episode 145. It is a new year. I'm Ben Bumhofer, still. And with me, as always, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Happy New Year, Ben. We're in 2016.
I know, it's cool. I thought 2016 was going to be an awesome year because it was going to be the last year that I need to pay for my car and then it'll be paid off. I estimated wrong. It is 2 more years. So,
Oh no.
yeah, but you know what? Still, it's going to be closer to being paid off. So yay for that.
My car got paid off, I guess technically last year, but it was this month's payment, so
Oh, grats.
kind of both. This is my first year without a car payment. It feels great, even though I haven't gotten any benefit from it yet.
Well, you will next month.
That's right. So
then it's going to be, what, hookers and blow, right?
probably not.
Okay, champagne dreams and caviar wishes or something like that. How's that?
Probably not going to happen.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be binging on the Steam sale.
But that's not happening next month.
And nope, that's happening this month.
Yes. Well, anyways, this is our very special January 1st episode, John.
It is. I don't know, have we done things with our New Year's episodes before?
No, we haven't. Not at all. But the thing is that ever since we switched our format, we've kind of changed things up a bit. And while we still ask for emails every single week, sometimes we don't exactly get to them.
That's true. With us trying to keep the show right around, near an hour long, and us not really having set topics or anything like that, sometimes it's very, very hard to remind ourselves, hey, we got some great emails that we need to address. Because sometimes things just move.
Yes, that is very true. One of the great things about these emails is that we are going to go over all of them that we've gotten.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
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 Yeah. Pretty much.
Pretty much.
If we don't go over an email that you sent, it's because for some reason we don't have it anymore.
We either lost it, we felt we already covered it.
Yeah. Or, we just don't like you.
Probably not that one.
No, it's not that at all, actually.
I did like, though, that as we're saying, like, all of it, in the show notes you crossed one out.
Well, yeah, it was just a link to something.
I know,
So
I know.
I didn't think is worth it.
I'm with you on the cross out. I just thought it was funny.
I know. I was hoping you'd actually see that. So without further ado, let's get right into this.
Yeah, let's talk about Alessander.
Yes, Alessander is a great listener. We love her. She's been on the show before. She does send a lot of different topics to a lot of different shows, and we're going to talk about a couple of them really quick. Well, maybe not really quick, but we're going to talk about them.
Some of them will be
regardless.
very, very quick.
Yes, so this is from Alessander. So regarding predictions, she predicts that there will be a slow rollout of beta invitations with no new content and a 10-month wait until launch. And we will see the active subscription numbers go down to 3.5 million next year. And she also predicts that at some point in Legion, a female NPC will undergo a transformation into a Kerrigan-like winged demon, tying the universes just a little bit closer together.
All right, well, one part that we can immediately poke a hole in this prediction, because that's what we're here to do, Ben. We're here to
Exactly.
take these wonderful, well thought out emails full of good intentions and hopes and dreams and immediately just stab them with sharp, pointy objects.
Yep. Partly because, again, we've been collecting these since, October, I think?
Yeah, something like that. So, first thing, we're not going to know on the subscriptions. Blizzard is done reporting subscription numbers, so that's not to say you're wrong. That's just to say we're not going to find out.
Yeah. Which, one of the funny things is that people don't seem to understand that if you buy the WoW token, that's still an active subscription.
Right.
Like, that's something that I found really weird just talking with people or watching guild chat or something. It's like, oh yeah, the subscription numbers went down so much because people are buying WoW tokens. No,
Nope.
it's still a subscription. You're still paying for it, but with the token.
And they even said they counted them the last time we got numbers, in the last set of numbers. But Blizzard, I think, we never really did talk about this. Their decision to not share numbers, I think, is a really good one. To me, like, whenever the numbers come out and they say, yeah, we're down 2 million subscribers or something like that, everyone's like, oh, it's doom and gloom. It's doom and gloom. But
or
it's basic.
There's the other side saying, it's going to be okay, everyone. Don't worry.
Right.
It's the two sides constantly saying the same thing each time it happens.
And ultimately what it equates to is it's like a race. And there's somebody that's 15 minutes ahead of everybody else. And when they did their next lap, they were only 11 minutes ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, they've lost subs. Like, I agree that shows a trend, and I don't think that we should necessarily say, like, it's worthless information. But the problem is people treat it like it's the most dire news of dire news, yet it still is the MMO with the largest subscription base. Yeah. Like, those numbers are going to fluctuate. Those numbers are going to move around. I think Blizzard needs to learn from those numbers and understand what those numbers mean and make changes accordingly. I think we as players and as people getting that information, we don't always interpret that in very constructive or creative or good ways.
But it's going to be okay. It's not doom and gloom, John.
It's definitely not doom and gloom.
But I don't know. I personally, I like it, and I love the idea that I forget the exact wording that they used, but it was something along the lines of they're going to see how satisfied the player base is, something like that, or like how active or engaged. That's what it was.
Right.
How engaged the player base is, and there's a lot of different ways that they can actually do that. So I am really interested to see how it goes. Because if you were to ask me how engaged the player base is with the tail part of Warlords of Draenor, I would say it's kind of low.
Right.
But subscription numbers might not reflect that, just based entirely on, again, the WoW token, or maybe someone bought, a 6-month thing, anything like that. That doesn't exactly go with what I think that Activision wants to hear at this point.
Right. So I think it's a smart decision. I think ultimately it's going to be a good thing. Was there anything else in this email in particular that you wanted to touch on or hit on?
Oh, yeah. I know that you are of the mind that World of Warcraft takes place in the same universe as StarCraft.
Well, hold on. Let's back up.
Okay. In a fun little exercise of Rose creation, you put them in the same universe.
I did. Ben, let me tell you about the Nexus.
Okay.
The Nexus is a hub where all the universes connect through all different parallel dimensions and time and space, and it quite clearly shows that Azeroth is not in the Koprulu sector.
Okay.
So, Azeroth is not any of those planets, as some may have predicted on other shows at times.
Good to know.
But anything can happen in the Nexus, Ben.
Yes. As for Azeroth, though, Um, I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of NPC turn into a demon.
I would.
Okay.
I feel like Blizzard leans way too heavily on this exact story beat. So what Alessander said is, I predict at some point in Legion a female NPC will undergo a transformation into a Kerrigan-like winged demon. No. First of all, you're already saying it's exactly like what Kerrigan did, so that's already one time they're repeating that. An argument could be made that that's already something that's happened to Sylvanas, that that's already something that's happened with Jaina. Like, Blizzard really likes to go down this road of,
Mhm.
oh, well, here we have this character that's interesting.
Let's
What if
corrupt
we
them.
murdered or had them abducted or made them go through some horrible trial and
Mhm.
made them into something like evil? That'd be cool, right?
Yeah.
No, we're done. We've done it enough.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. And when I brought it up, I said an NPC that turns into a demon. I think that'll be cool. I wasn't giving it a big character. I wasn't saying a super main character. I think we'll see someone turn into a demon.
Well, you've already said you would like to see King Varian get turned into an undead, right?
Yes, that is not a demon,
That's already
but
been your prediction.
and I'm standing by that until we get through the entire expansion. Meaning, once Legion is over and we're talking about um, World of Warcraft Tally, that is when we are totally going to put that prediction to rest.
Yeah. All right. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay.
Well, we got another email from Alessander. It
We
says,
did.
"Hi guys, I want to clear up a common misconception from the cinematic. That isn't a picture of Varian's son in the compass in the cinematic. It's his wife, Tiffin, who was killed accidentally in the stonemason riots when Anduin was a baby. She did go ahead and include a whole lot of lore about this, which we're cutting for time.
Mhm.
She even said it was skippable, so we're skipping it. I did not actually know the lore history of Tiffin, and so if anybody wants to go look that up, it is actually interesting.
Mhm.
But once again, here comes John with the pointy sticks. That is Anduin. I've rewatched the cinematic. That is Anduin.
See, I would be so much happier if it actually was Tiffin. I think it actually grows Anduin, or not Anduin, sorry, Varian, like a little bit more as a character of like, oh, he still loves his wife.
I mean, sure. I'm sure he does still love his wife.
I know, but it just adds it to the cinematic.
But in a cinematic that is directed and aimed at Varian communicating to his son and fighting for his son, it
Mhm.
makes no sense for him to spend a long time staring at his wife in that cinematic because she plays no role in the story they're trying to communicate visually. So I'm sure there are going to be people that still go back and look at it and maybe say, no, that's totally still Tiffin. Well, no, it's not. I'm sorry. You're going to have to fight me on it. Anybody who disagrees, that is Anduin. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying that's not what it is.
Well, do you know Blizzard's actually said who it is?
No, they don't have to. It's
Because
clearly
it's
Anduin.
Anduin. Okay, well, I think it all comes down to what the person in the picture is wearing.
Anduin clothes.
Anduin clothes? Oh, okay. That works then. All right. So from Alessander, she said, "Hi John,
Hello.
hi Ben, hi. You have it right, and should make it a sound file you can play now and then.
I don't
It,
remember what that was pertaining to.
yeah, I don't know. If you say, "Wow, that Suramar cutscene at the end is great. You should go quest up there." That's okay. Saying, "Oh my God, did you see that red wedding?" And wow, when Ashara comes out of the portal and the avatar of Sargeras comes out of a portal, and you sneak in solid snake style as a basket of flowers, that is a spoiler. Don't be a spoiler. Blizzard just saying Ashara Sargeras wedding. Am I right? No, you're not. But
Man, now Ben's pulling out the pointy sticks.
no, this goes back to our spoiler discussion that we had. I don't know, a few episodes back. Um, Obviously, Alessandro agrees. If you say, "Hey, that Suramar cutscene is awesome," some people will decry it as, "There's a cutscene, you spoiled it." No, no. There's a cat behind me.
Yep,
Um,
that happened.
but yeah,
Happy 2016, everybody.
yeah, it's a cat. Woohoo! Anyways, so yeah, it all comes down to level of appreciation and stuff of just the player base around you, and respect them.
Yeah,
Let people see it how they want to see it.
exactly. We are now at a point where I'm comfortable talking about The Force Awakens. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out there and take the things that seem like key major plot points and just
Hmm.
throw those out there on social media, but I can now feel comfortable saying, man, Kylo Ren is a bit angsty and he throws temper tantrums.
Yeah,
And if you consider that a spoiler, you probably should have seen the movie.
yeah. But I will say, our friend Civ just saw it for the first time like yesterday.
Okay, well, it's today
Yeah, I
that
know.
I'm now doing it, so he's safe. So he managed to get there in time. And if Civ can get there in time, anybody can get there in time.
Yeah, we know how misdirected he tends to get.
Yeah, he probably was on his way and then watched a football game.
That is probably true.
Um, so Alessandra also wanted us to know, for some reason, despite our long-standing stance on gnomes, gnomes can be hunters in Legion. Alex, do you know how to say the last name? I always butcher.
Afsiabi.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know if that's right, but it sounded like I
There
knew.
you go. Posted a screenshot of a male gnome in character creation screen on Twitter with Hunter selected. Legion, best expansion ever. Sure.
I don't know. We never really talked too much about it, but I'm still of the mind that they should have miniature pets. Like battle pets can be their pets
I
because
love that idea.
because I mean if they have a bear,
It should be the little tiny bear cub.
yeah, how oh my gosh, can you imagine running around leveling and tanking with that?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. It's
Did
just like a gnome warrior. They're tiny and tanking. A little, bear cub could do it too.
Did you ever see the image for gnome druids?
Yes. It's so
This
cute.
is how you win me over on gnomes. You do crap like that, and all of a sudden, I'm all for that. But yeah, they can be hunters. They can tame mechanical pets.
Yep. Other hunters can too, as long as they learn how.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of mechanicals actually being added in as an addition. I mean, that is pretty cool. That's something that is a really neat revamp to the class, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep, and I love that goblins get it right away.
Yeah, take that, goblins.
You mean gnomes?
No, goblins. They get it right away too.
Oh, okay.
Take
Yeah,
that, goblins.
Yeah, take that and
Make
stuff.
a mechanical contraption out of it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into a bigger email. We may need to break this up a little bit as we go, but Ben, you've got the
Okay.
the com.
Let's see. Let's do it this way. I think Blizzard could put out an expansion every year or close to it if they would stop trying to reinvent the game every time. Which, before we even get into that, John, that is something that you actually look forward to with each expansion is new systems and growth and evolution.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to talk about this. I feel like we're dealing with a game that comes out on a yearly basis. Well, 2 years, year and a half, whatever you want to call it. A lot changes in the realm of video games in that period of time when you think about it. The things we like, the things we don't. World of Warcraft was very much an iterative game, like a lot of Blizzard games, where they took the formula of what existed and they changed it to be more accessible, more fun, and play the way they wanted it to. And I feel like every time they do a new expansion, that's the time for them to look at the game as a whole and say, do we need to do that again on the systems we have? If they didn't do things like that, we would still be paying for skill upgrades and having to go to a master every time we got a rank 2 fireball or rank 3 fireball.
Oh, that was so horrible. I hated that.
We would have no looking for group add-ons. Like, the game just wouldn't evolve. Like, the game has to evolve. It has to iterate on itself. And because Blizzard is in this number one position, they don't have a ton of competition knocking at the door, innovating in this area. So it's kind of the Wild West for them, where they have to
Yeah.
be the ones to kind of innovate. And they could sit on their hands and say, no, we're number one, we got it. But I think it's very important that they do this every year. Do
Yeah.
they
Plus,
sometimes mess up? Yes.
yeah. But I mean, one thing too is look at the games that do have a new iteration every single year. Look at, like, say, Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty. Um, Call of Duty has multiple teams working on different variations of it, but for the most part, they're all the same game.
Yeah.
I mean, they have different stories. They might add a feature or two, but getting everything from every single bit to it, it doesn't give it a lot of evolution, which is something that, I mean, you just touched on, and it's something that I love, is that Blizzard is able to, take that extra bit of time. They have one team working on it. They're pushing forwards, and yeah, it might take some time between expansions, but that extra time is needed.
Yeah.
Like, totally.
I agree. And if you had to ask me, if you said, John, okay, you can have an expansion every year, but they're not going to iterate. It's just going to be new content, just a constant flow of new content on a yearly basis, like clockwork. Or you can have a new expansion every 2 years, but they're going to reinvent the game where necessary. They're going to make big system improvements, overhauls, tweaks, changes, all of that. I would take that hands down.
Yeah. Anyway, so sorry. Okay, after interrupting after the first sentence, let's move on. Okay, so if they didn't reinvent the game every time, they didn't like professions, so redid them from scratch in Warlords and are doing it again now. It wasn't broken till they fixed it. Leveling wasn't broken, but now we will be able to level up in 4 zones in 2 weeks. We are encouraged to rush through to endgame, and that is another mistake. Classes weren't broken. You know what? Actually, let me go back. Professions in Warlords at the end was broken, but if you started from scratch, they made huge improvements into that. So, if you have a brand new boosted character, you can make stuff with the things that you're currently gathering and making and everything like that, and actually level up your crafting professions. That part I actually really liked, because when they had it in Pandaria for, like, blacksmithing, it took a ton of maths to do, but you can still do it.
Right.
And they just carried that and improved upon it into Warlord. So again, lower level stuff, that's great. If they continue that sort of trend into Legion, I'll be happy with that. Needing the garrison for it, that's where it failed, unfortunately.
Yeah. Everything pre-Warlords level on professions in Warlords was fantastic. As soon as you got to that, I'm now caught up with where I would be going into the game moving forward. That part was not fun.
Yeah. As for leveling wasn't broken, that I kind of disagree with. I mean, leveling was never broken, and in fact, in Warlords, it was better than ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
After a few months' time, when they changed the XP values, that's when you can level up just super quick and everything like that. Personally, I really liked it in Warlords because I got through all the different zones. Yeah, I hit cap before I finished doing every quest and getting, like, the lore master of Warlords, but that's okay because it still gave me a purpose and a reason to go out and finish those quests.
Yeah, and I felt that the story was strong enough in Warlords for the quest thing that was compelling me to do it. Because usually, if I get to max level, it's like, okay, I'm done, abandon all these quests I got. But if I care about the story and they're doing a good job on that front, I'll keep them, and I did, and I finished Nagrand, and I was max level before I even got there. So
Yep, same here, and it helped because that zone is kind of brutal at times. Yeah. Okay. Classes weren't broken, rarely are broken, but are constantly getting a complete overhaul rather than a few tweaks, which is what is usually needed. That's a tough thing to actually address. Some classes are broken based on tweaks and based on what happens with other classes. The thing is John, I think you can agree with me on this, is that they keep tweaking them to change it to actually make the gameplay better. There's actually been kind of a trend where they're homogenizing all the different classes and specs so much over the past that now with Legion, they're really branching out and making everything unique again. So I would say they were broken.
Yeah, I would say every class in the game is currently broken. And what I mean by that is it's like if you get a new, colorful, vibrant t shirt. And we've worn it through a couple expansions, and class changes have happened, and each one of those class changes is running it through a load of laundry. And
Hmm.
now we're at a spot where instead of all those colors and classes standing out and being unique, it is all faded into kind of one thing. And that's not fun. It's a comfy T-shirt because we're all
Yeah.
familiar with it, but it's time to move on. Like it's time for them to readdress that and move forward with that
Hmm.
because right now I feel like the fantasy that they're always talking about when they talk about classes in Legion is absolutely gone from the game right now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just go through and see some of the opening intros, I mean, the fact that you choose your spec pretty much right at the beginning of the expansion, that says something because from that point on, you're going to have a different experience of how you play for the rest of the entire expansion, and that's something that I'm actually really excited for.
Yeah, me too.
So. So yeah, let's see. The item squish was mishandled, and next expansion they'll have to redo that again because they couldn't stop being addicted to that vertical curve. Eh, there's a lot that can be said about the item squish. It was needed, it was done, and it'll have to be done at some point in the future again.
Yeah. Also, I don't think it's gonna require like we need 7 more months of development because we need to
Yeah,
do an
just
item squish
retune.
again. Yeah.
All it is moving decimal places over. I don't know if that's what they do, but that'd be easy.
I don't know if I want to assume it's that easy, but I also don't want to assume that it's super complicated either.
Yeah.
So I think that it is probably a thing that we don't need to necessarily point out as like, oh my gosh, why can't they just get it right the first time? This is making everything go so long.
Yeah. Let's see. Things that really do need to be changed, like updated character models, could be tied to no particular expansion. Just worked on and when ready, slotted into the next year's expansion rather than be a feature that might hold it back because it's not done. That, I think, was one of the major selling points of a very featureless expansion this go around.
Yeah, and also it was not completed by the time the
Mm-hmm.
expansion came out, and the expansion still came out. So I find it hard to believe that Blizzard is going to say like, nope, hold the expansion. We don't have new character models done because they didn't do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the new Blood Elf models came out with the first patch because it wasn't done in time, and
And they look fabulous.
yeah, and the new models are great.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Raids, dungeons, quests, art, and train, I think, would make up the bulk of content of a new expansion, being literally where you go and what you do. And they can space that content out a little more easily instead of rapid firing at us, lest we get bored when half of all raiders haven't even finished heroic or normal when the next raid comes out. Reuse some old art or interesting raid mechanics like gunship, which will enhance the feeling of a story in progress. And see, that's the kicker right there, actually. I mean, you brought up a good point of raids, dungeons, quests, art, and train are kind of a bulk of content, which that is what it is. But Blizzard is stuck in a very, very hard situation. Timing on patches, timing on expansions, timing on content is, I mean, for lack of a better word, they're horrible at. But it's nothing against them. I mean, Blizzard has always shot for the moon, and sometimes when they don't make it, they just wait longer. And it's something we've come to expect of the company. But they're learning with each step that they go on how to actually, release content. Maybe Warlords isn't the best example of them learning about that, but in that amount of time that's, we were in Siege of Orgrimmar, Warlords was getting finished and that schedule was being done, and then they weren't able to actually change anything based on the reactions of Pandaria.
Right. And I think another thing, and I don't want it to sound like I'm taking everything that Alessander is saying and poking holes in it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily agree with what she's emailing us about, but I think she has some valid concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is always saying, oh, we wish we could get it out faster, including Blizzard. Blizzard is
Mm-hmm.
also one of the chief people saying, we wish we could get this content out faster. I do think, and I'm not going to say that this is what Blizzard needs to do, but in a brainstorming sense, I think an interesting case could be made of what if they could do maybe a mini expansion every on 1 year and then a full
Mhm.
expansion on the second. So essentially 1 year into the expansion, rather than just doing, oh, here's the next patch, they say, here's a big patch. It's going to further the story. There's going to be new questing. Maybe it includes 5 new levels, and then the following expansion has the next 5. And space it out that
Mhm.
way and have it to where features and main overhaul things are tied to one particular expansion, but just the questing, the story, the leveling, the monsters, and things like that are tied to the other. Um,
That's interesting.
it's a thought, but we don't know what Blizzard's structure is. We know that right now they're probably starting work on or doing work on whatever the next expansion is after Legion,
Mhm.
because that's how far ahead they have to work on these things. So it's very difficult, I'm sure, for them to tie this in, because when you think about that, we haven't even started Legion and they're already looking at what's next at this point.
Mhm. Exactly. I mean, when World of Warcraft Garrus comes out, it's going to be one of those things that is based off of things that happened in Pandaria and to some extent Warlords.
Right.
Hopefully by this point they've learned that patch 5.1 was the greatest patch that's ever been added to the game because of how great it was. But we'll see what happens and what ideas that they're coming up with, in the future. And you're right. A lot of people don't finish raid content before the next one's out,
Right.
but there are a ton of people that do. So again, gauging that time is one of the hardest things that Blizzard has, because they want to keep those subscriptions or keep the player base engaged, if you will. But if they do things too fast, then people burn out on it super fast, or there's too much of a drought in between. So yeah, it's tough. But I mean, just with that being said, John, if there was like a mini expansion and a big expansion or whatever, how do you think the patches would go?
I think what you would do is you would shoot for, hmm,
Like two or three?
yeah, in between each one. Maybe 3 patches between each expansion.
Maybe. But I mean, if it's yearly, we're looking at probably maybe two. Because if you think about maybe like, I don't know, 5 months of content, then another five, and then it's the expansion time again.
Right.
So I don't know. But see, then again, how difficult is that content? How fast can people get through it? And you're back at the same crazy hard thing to do.
It's a tough balance. I think ultimately what we need to take away, and we can probably call that on this email
Mm-hmm.
overall, but I think the thing that we need to take away is that this is a case of Blizzard saying, we hear you, we agree, we're working on it. So, what everybody I think needs to understand is that this isn't a case of us going, this is a problem, and Blizzard, standing there with their fingers in their ears going,
La 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 la.
we can't hear you. We don't know. They want to do an expansion a year. That's what they want to do.
Ever since the original came out, that's what their goal has been.
And it's taking a very long time for them to find the balance between keeping the level of quality and the amount of changes and all of that they want to do versus meeting that as a goal. And I think recent statements from Blizzard where they say, we understand that once people do all the content, they might drop off, and we're okay with that, is kind of a statement that they are maybe moving in a direction where they're more okay with if they don't hit that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so again, thank you for bringing up those points and everything. It's definitely a very interesting thing to look at. And I mean, I think in previous emails or just having you on the show, you've talked about it yourself, how you're sometimes, a different mindset than, maybe the most vocal player base that's out there. John and I, we're friends. We've played this game together for a long time. We are vastly different on how we treat the content.
Yes.
And I
Very.
mean, it's just one of those things where there's so many different personalities that getting it to the right formula is something that will never happen.
Yeah. And I mean, take a look at a game like Destiny. Like the developers on Destiny have recently said, "We understand that once you experience the new content when we put it out, a lot of people, probably a majority of people, are going to just stop playing the game. So our goal is to make sure that those players leave happy with their experience with the game and willing to come back when we do it again." And I think Blizzard might even be adopting that same attitude. And like I said, they kind of have alluded to that as much. Like, look, we don't want you to leave WoW angry, but we understand that there's a good chance that, hey, I've hit max level. I've seen the quests. I don't want to raid. I'm done for a while. And they might not see us until the next expansion. And that's not a bad thing on us, but that's also not a bad thing on them.
Yeah, and even more so if you think about it, if people are coming back for the next expansion, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's able to pay the money for the expansion and for a couple months of WoW time, that is a love of this game that people who, have to stay subscribed because it's just what they do will never understand.
Right.
So, anyways, thank you very much for that one. It like I said, it brought up a lot of good points, and we're looking to hear more about that, hopefully in the future from Blizzard themselves when they tell us what's going on with Legion.
Yeah. So we have one last email from Alessander. It's a pretty quick one. Now that we know you can get demons to swear loyalty to you by killing the guy they are currently sworn to, should we be building up our own army rather than killing them all? How cool would that be for the final fight of Legion? So, yeah, that'd be cool.
It'd be cool, but here's the thing. I don't know if that's exactly going to work.
That doesn't seem like the WoW story. The WoW story is very rarely turn your enemies against your enemies.
Yeah, especially since there was that one dude who turned on Sylvanas when she was definitely the one who was in charge of him.
Right. Unless you're a warlock, and then that is your story. So I guess the answer to that question is, if you want that, play a warlock.
Yep, exactly. So, Alessandra, again, thank you for all your email. We always appreciate it. And we're sorry it took so long for us to get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is it is from Olin, a level 100 shaman from Ysera. Olin says, "Warning, long in..." I'm already at the point where I can't read, John.
Well, Ben,
this does not bode well.
That's not a good thing necessarily.
Let's split this up into numbered sections so that I don't end up reading the entire thing on this one.
Sure. Why don't you get us up to number 1?
Yep, I'll go through number 1 even.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Yep. So, warning, long email incoming. I almost did it again. Good afternoon, Ben and John.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Everything that has transpired around the World of Warcraft over the past 12 months, including the news coming out of BlizzCon, has left me feeling torn about the future of my beloved game. Let's see. After reading almost every BlizzCon recap, I could get my hands on, along with listening to several podcasts in the community. Here are my thoughts and/or questions for you. Is Blizzard making a mistake with class halls instead of guild halls? I believe Blizzard has made a huge mistake with its treatment in guilds in World of Warcraft. While guild perks aren't necessarily the answer to promoting healthy and active guilds, Blizzard has done absolutely nothing to promote active and healthy guilds. Guild achievements don't reward anything fun outside of a few random pets and/or heirlooms, and I don't know anyone who is interested in farming them. Adding cosmetic items or offering in-game items that would help demonstrate guild pride or encourage people to have lasting relationships with guildmates is something that I think would be extremely valuable. I firmly believe that people would prefer to spend time with members of their guild and not their class. Who honestly wants to hang out with members of their class? Is this a big thing that I'm missing here? When did you last join a raid and feel a kinship with that fellow druid over there standing in the fire? Oh, he stood in the fire. I think forcing us to spend time with our class is just missing the boat here.
All right. I got a lot to say on topic number 1, Ben.
I do too. I'll let you go first, though.
Okay, so I do want to point out we did cut a little bit out of this email because he wasn't lying when he said it was long. It was a long email. And one of the things that he did mention in the email was that he is part of a guild that has kind of fallen apart as people have lost interest in the expansion. And doesn't think, financially speaking or starting over speaking, it's worth moving to an Airy Peak or an Earthen Ring to go into like AIE or convert to Raid or, a Mega Guild. So, but what I want to address here is I don't think guild perks or achievements or cosmetic rewards are valuable to the game. I think making compelling content that keeps the player base interested and logging in is a healthier addition to the game than any of the frills on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking my opinion here, and you all are welcome to disagree, but I think the reason guilds fall apart is not because there's no more guild achievements. I think it is because there's nobody playing this game anymore. And your guild falls apart because members go away.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a mega guild. Ben's a part of a raid team in a mega guild.
Mm-hmm.
It is a raid team that is quite sought after. We've had a lot of requests. When I was, active and participating in it, we were turning people away from raiding with us in that particular raid team because we were full. And now you guys are at a place where there are times where you are still having trouble finding members. And I think a big part of that is just because not as many people are currently playing the game. And so, to me, I don't think putting in guild halls or things like that are going to be the thing that really saves guilds. I think making good raids, making compelling content, giving players a reason to log in every day, keeping players in through the duration of an expansion, that's what saves guilds.
Yeah. And here's another thing too that I thought of. I mean, first of all, it did seem kind of weird to me as well that class halls are being put in as opposed to guild halls. And I thought about it quite a bit. And Blizzard is doing exactly what you want them to do in this. Because there are people who don't have guilds. There are people who are in incredibly tiny guilds. How are you going to socialize with people if you're just in your guild hall just doing nothing? How are you going to recruit?
Yeah.
Class halls is something that's, well, it might not be, hey, there's another pally over there, we need one for our raid. It might be like that, because there's all these different specs, all these different things that you can do. Who knows if people are going to be all, hey, I'm pugging this, who wants to join us? And pull from your guild, pull from your friends list, pull from your class hall. It's only something to get people around other people to hopefully start making friendships and at least opening up communications to things.
Exactly. And I think that, and again, with some of these emails being a bit older, we know more now than we did
Mm-hmm.
potentially at the time that this email was written. Class halls are not garrisons. They are not going to be where we spend our entire game, or at least it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah,
It
not that
seems
I've played.
it seems like it is a return hub, a place you go. It has some functionality, it has some stuff that you can do, sure, but you're not going to be camping there and socializing there, and that's going to be where you spend all of your time. So I don't think there's going to be this case of like, well, we're only going to be interacting with our own class.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to be interacting with your guild and people in the outside world and pugs and all of that. So I wouldn't worry too much about class halls in a social setting.
Mm-hmm.
Class halls seem like just another way for them to enhance the fantasy of the class.
Yeah, and I mean even more so, it and I mean this may sound a little weird, and I understand that I am in AIE when I'm on my Alliance tune. I am in CTR. Um, it has nothing to do with Blizzard not making guilds, like fun and promoting healthy guilds and everything like that. That is not them at all. The guilds themselves are the ones who need to be the ones who make things up, who have fun, who find the fun in the game, who recruit, who talk and chat and things like that. And back before John and I were on Earthen Ring, we were in a guild that was actually, incredibly active, a lot of fun, and we just enjoyed it and had a blast with that. The guild started dying, and unfortunately, we didn't. I don't know. I guess the best way to put it is we weren't able to continue growing that guild to the point where it would, flourish anymore. Is that on Blizzard? Not at all. It's us. It was our poor decisions on just completely opening up the doors for anybody. Um, maybe how we handled certain interactions. Whatever it was, it just didn't work out for us. But we can't call that on Blizzard's fault at all.
Yeah. And I think we're going to talk a lot more about this with number 2. So let me go ahead and read that because
Okay.
it's going to tie into it. Number 2. Do major podcasters / members of media understand the issues due to the existence of mega guilds? Does the fact that they're surrounded by 8,000 plus highly active players hide the experience that a majority of WoW players face day in and day out? While I'm a huge fan of the concept of mega guilds like AIE and Convert to Raid, I think these environments can cover up huge flaws in the game right now. Mick Montgomery raised a great point during the BlizzCon episode of Convert to Raid. We'll skip him on tonight's show. He's not on tonight's show.
No, that's this was sent in a little while ago.
Yeah, look for a time that we had Mick on that wasn't our BlizzCon predictions, and you probably got the idea. Often I've heard major players in the community gloss over serious issues with the social aspect of this game. For people not in mega guilds, this game quickly devolves into a single-player game that involves grouping with random people who rarely speak to one another. While cross-realm raiding and the group finder are great features, they offer very limited social functions, which I feel are critical to an MMO. Ironically, I play this game exclusively as a single player now. I log in, check my garrison missions, and then almost exclusively farm old world content for transmog gear and mounts. I present this topic because I have never found it financially viable to transfer all my tunes to Earthen Ring or Airy Peak. Additionally, I don't want to lose years of progress in-game by simply re-rolling and starting new on these servers.
Yeah, and okay, so I get that. I really do. And even though I'm in a large guild, I understand that there are a lot of social aspects that don't play out. Um, okay, so I'm in a large guild. I absolutely love it. I'm in AIE. Everybody knows that. I will sing its praises for a long time because I like the guild. Here's the thing. I still play the game like it's a single player game a lot of the time. I'm in a guild with a ton of people, but I'm out doing things by myself, or I'll just randomly, maybe group up with someone who I'm near if we're, on the same quest or something like that. But here's the thing. For me, I'm choosing to do that, but I have access to a ton of people for when I need them or when I want to be social and everything like that. That's one of the greatest things about these giant guilds. But even more so when I am out there, even though I've got a guild tag, part of that is on me. I need to be the person who, when I jump into like a random heroic or something like that, I'll say hello, I'll talk, I'll do things like that just to try to encourage other people to do the same thing. Not everyone's going to be in that mindset, and that's fine. It's how they play the game. If I jump into LFR, I'm one of the first people who always say hello. I might be the only person who says hello. But again, it's just, if you want those social interactions, it's something you have to do yourself. You can't rely on everybody else for that. As for, joining and transferring and being in a mega guild and everything like that, I understand it's not financially viable. Over time, I transferred all my tunes, but if you're looking for a guild and you want to be in one that is active and will most likely be active for a very long time, I'm sorry, but you got to bite the bullet. It's just something that's got to happen. Or you build a giant guilds around your, on your server.
Yeah, I definitely sympathize with the thought of, I don't think it's financially viable. Like, I don't want to tell somebody what to do with their money and stuff like that, because you never know where someone's situation is. But I'm going to tell you this, because later in the email you mention it. You're saying, I don't know if I have... He basically says, I have 4 more months on my WoW subscription. I don't know if I'm going to renew. If you aren't liking this game, don't renew. Save your money. Hold off on it. Use that money that you would be putting towards the game and buy a transfer for your tune. If guild interaction is that important to you. Let me put a giant asterisk on this thing. I am not telling everybody out there that you need to switch to AIE or convert to raid or any other mega guild out there. But if you are telling me that you want a social, big, good guild experience, you either need to create it or you need to go to where one is. That is not always going to be on your server. And you may have to make some changes along those lines. That's the harsh reality of it. That said, I think WoW has amazing social tools. I think it offers more opportunities to be social with other players than most MMOs. I'm not going to say all because I haven't played every single one that's currently out there and relevant.
Yet.
But I think it is currently one of the best. Where it falters, and where I will completely side with the person writing this email, is this idea that WoW is not supporting this game in such a way that it is preventing the collapse of smaller guilds. I do think you can put some fault on Blizzard for the falling apart of raid teams and the falling apart of guilds if they are not putting out content regularly enough, if that content isn't compelling enough, and if they aren't giving people a compelling enough reason to log into the game. Blizzard has made the decision this is a $15 a month game. That's a big ask for people. If they are not doing everything they can to keep people in the game, and people not logging into the game is the reason guilds and raid teams and all of that is falling apart, that is on Blizzard. But as a player, it is then your job to determine how important it is to find that experience and do what you need to do to get the game you want. If that's unsubbing, that's unsubbing. That sends a message to Blizzard as well. But you have to make that decision. You can't just say, I don't like it. You have to kind of find your own solution within it.
Yeah, and I will agree that, okay, so previously I said that it's not up to Blizzard to, foster guild growth and everything like that. Specifically guild growth, I stick by that point. But I will agree with you, John, that if they're not putting out the content that is appealing to the people in these guilds who are leaving, then that part of it is on them. But it is still the guild's responsibility to, our numbers are dipping. Let's try to recruit more. Let's try to find people. Let's bring people in and help keep this alive.
Yeah, can we condense? Do we have multiple raid teams? Can we condense them into a single raid team? How can we do active recruitment? Can we work with another guild on the server to try and do? I'm not saying these are fun solutions or great solutions or anything like that, but odds are you are not the only person on your server feeling this way. And so there is a way to get to that point.
Exactly. And hopefully, since when you sent this, I do believe that it was less than 4 months ago, you're still playing, and hopefully you've been able to, help grow a guild or come to some conclusions like this on your own and make the changes for the better. So hopefully, with that, there is part 3 here. So a common theme from BlizzCon seems to be that Blizzard has learned from their mistakes in WoD and is ready to correct them in Legion. And that's because I don't like this expansion very much. With the vast majority of the features still in the drawing board state and Legion still a long way off, do you agree that Blizzard is headed on the right track? Also, what the heck is Blizzard doing with the biggest WoW development team of all time? Personally, I'm firmly planted on the wait-and-see bandwagon. The fact that Legion appears to still be an absurdly long way off from release shows me that Blizzard still hasn't learned how to release content in a timely manner. It seems to be a going theme, John.
Interesting.
Yeah, facing a 14-month drought of content after what transpired with Siege of Orgrimmar at the end of MOP would be a huge slap in the face to active players. Having viewed all of what Legion has to offer, I truly struggle to identify what exactly these people are working on that necessitates so much time between content releases and increased expansion prices.
All right, are you ready for me to be rude?
I am ready for you to be rude.
And before I'm rude, I'm going to apologize to the listener. I know this is going to be incredibly rude. If this makes you mad and you don't want to listen to the show anymore, okay, that's fine. I'll survive. That's because you're not a game developer. None of us are. As much as we might like to try and play one on the show, when we make
do
guesses,
that all the time.
when we write emails, none of us are game developers. If you want to know why you're struggling to identify what exactly these people are working on, it's because you're not a game developer. We don't know how much time and hours are being put into the art, the assets, the bug testing, the balance changes, the redesigns, the overhauls, the raids, the mechanics, even the numbers. I tried to make a mod to Dungeons and Dragons once, and I can't tell you how much my brain exploded trying to figure out what health values and armor and damage should be. Like,
Yep.
games are complicated machines. They're really difficult. Like we said before, Blizzard wants to do a yearly release on these games. They have failed to do it, and that does suck. And oftentimes that does mean a lot of crappy things for players. And I agree wholeheartedly with anybody that says that sucks. But that said, they're not going in and just sitting on their hands and spinning in their chairs for 8 hours a day. They're working on the content. They're doing the best job they can.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Legion's going to solve all your issues. I don't know if it's going to solve all my issues. I've been very vocal about how I felt about this expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm optimistic about Legion. I'm looking forward to Legion. But I don't know. And I'm not naive enough to think that Blizzard isn't considering these things, that they aren't aware of it. And that's the one thing that I want to convey above all else. We don't know. So I don't like the stance of what are they doing with the biggest development team of all time? They're developing the game is what they're doing.
It's funny because, okay, so as you know, I do a show called Battle Pets with Eludra. When that was announced, so many people were decrying how could they possibly waste time in something like that. You know, how come they're not doing a raid? How come they're not doing this? Why are they doing that? Guess what? They have people assigned to that. That's what they're doing. They have people who are assigned to this. That's what they're doing. You know, just all the different areas. Just because, like, you know, maybe the art assets or something are, you know, potentially done, or the terrain is potentially done in Legion. That doesn't mean that the people doing the terrain can just automatically go right into coding something else too. You know, they have a huge team of people with varied abilities. So just because it has a lot of numbers doesn't mean that it should be out like that. You know, everybody's doing their own part, working their asses off, really trying to make sure that they give us an expansion that they are proud of.
Yeah. So I'm really trying not to make it sound like I'm throwing the person emailing under the bus. I understand.
Well, I mean, the thing is Olin is frustrated with the game right now, which unfortunately a lot of people are with this expansion.
Yeah.
And I completely understand that frustration. I mean, and this may sound weird, but there is actually a time where I was considering just, you know, not subbing for a month or two, just because I wasn't getting the fulfillment out of it as I had previous expansions. You know, if I wasn't raiding, I wasn't feeling like I was doing anything. Lately, I've kind of found a new fervor for it just because I've been enjoying some content that I'm finding on my own that has nothing to do with this expansion. So I get it. I get that you're frustrated and that you want Legion to be great and you want to be with friends and everything like that. And I hope beyond everything that if you stick with WoW, that Legion's going to be all that you're hoping for and more.
Yeah, if you stick with it, I hope Legion's good. And you know, I'm again not trying to throw you under the bus. I understand the frustration. I've been feeling it too. I've spent very, very little time in WoW this expansion. It has not been good. It is not. This is not the expansion for me. But you know, you kind of just have to weigh what you see is coming, and I see Legion showing a lot of things that I want from the game. So I'm excited about it and I'm looking forward to it. If you don't feel that, you don't have to go to it, you know? But I feel like by writing this email, Basically, what Olin is saying is like, I do like this game, I do care, and I do want to continue.
Mhm.
And so, my advice to you, if that is the case, is stick with it, do what you can, find out what parts of the game matter to you. And if
Mhm.
it turns out that the part of the game that you care the most about is guilds and social interaction, then I would find a way to get to a place where you can have that if you're
Yeah.
not getting it on your server. And again, that could be building it, that could be transferring. I don't know your situation and I'm not going to presume to know. But if that is the most important part of the game and it's like that or I don't play the game, then that's the decision you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I think I say this for all of us. I hope it works out for you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Shall we move on to the next one?
absolutely.
Yeah, and again, Olin, thank you very much for sending in your email. I'm sorry it took us so long to get to it. And again, good luck.
Yeah.
Let's see. I believe this next bit, they did say specifically that we don't have to read them both together. We can actually break it up into two separate things.
Okay.
So possibly. So why don't you read the first one, and then if we need to discuss, then we will. Otherwise, I'll just jump into the one right after it.
All right, this is from Jared. He says, as many others do, I have grown tired of my main class. And after using my first 90 boost on a paladin that I didn't find myself enjoying much, honestly, how I didn't find myself enjoying much. However, honestly, I hate leveling. It was fun the very first time. It was new and experience frankly, it's part of the game and it's a huge part. But after the first time, geez, I don't want to do it again. I have mostly full heirlooms and you can say, well, it only takes some hours, but
A lot,
first, a
though.
few hours in the grand scheme of life is short, but in a day, it's really not. Second, why spend hours on something I don't enjoy? Leveling itself isn't super bad, I suppose, but when I know I could be doing something else I enjoy so much more, it stings quite a bit more. All right, let's talk about leveling. I
Yeah,
feel like he
definitely.
wrote into the wrong show because we both love leveling a lot.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. I love the story and leveling. At this point, I made a shaman John, and by the way, I got the name Stormageddon with the proper spelling on Earthen Ring, and I am so psyched about that. So yay, got my shaman. Anyways, was that like a God I hate you Ben sigh that I just heard?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I
Anyways,
it's fine. It's fine.
no, I know your thoughts.
It's
Thund-
fine.
Thundar. Or what is it? Thundrar?
Thrundar.
Thrundar.
Look, I can understand why an orc would name his son Thrundar.
Mhm.
It's an orc sounding name. Stormageddon. I do not see. Honey, what do you think? I'm thinking Stormageddon.
No, that's just his nickname.
Whatever.
Look, I like Doctor Who. Leave me alone. Anyways, so I've got my shaman, and I'm actually really looking forward to leveling. And it's something that is a ton of fun to do for me because I'm learning my talents and everything. I get to see zones. In fact, I took my orc shaman and flew him over to Undercity so I could go through the undead starting stuff. Because John, what's the best leveling low level experience there is?
Silver Pine Forest.
There you go. So I am super excited that I'm in Silver Pine Forest, and I think it just got to the Sepulture. So woohoo! Anyways, um, that kind of stuff I love. I love going through things. Once I hit Hellfire, I have an issue, and that is get out of here as fast as I possibly can. And then once again, I'm back into Howling Fjord, and everything's happy again. And then let's see, once I'm in Kata, I'm leveling as fast as I possibly can. Then when I'm in Pandaria, I'm cool again. So I mean, it varies for me. I don't mind leveling; I enjoy it. But what I will say is that the level 90 boosts, that's one of those things where you don't get the full appreciation of the character. Now, I get it. You want to be up there, you want to play with your friends, or like say your raid team needs, a tank or a healer. I doubt they would need a DPS, but you never know. So if you have a boost available, you boost it, you get in there. And eventually, with time, you'll learn the character the way that you would if you had actually spent the time leveling up through the whole thing. Like, I have a druid who I boosted to 90. Yeah, that's what I use my free boost on. He's currently sitting at 92. I really haven't taken the time to learn how to play as him. All he is just kind of fodder for, I don't know, gold making schemes later on or something. Um, I have a level 100 boost coming. I might use that on a Death Knight or a Rogue. I'm not sure yet. But isn't going to be my Shaman? No, because I'm enjoying leveling that quite a bit. So it's one of those things where if you don't enjoy leveling, you have tools to get past that. The fact that you have all the heirlooms and everything is great, because I can tell you just from leveling Stormageddon, you have those heirlooms, you're flying through levels, and it's very helpful. Once you get into the 90s, then you have, like different elixirs that you can drink to give you more XP and things like that. So there's implements that help you get past that. But unfortunately, it is something that you have to do unless you pay for it in various ways.
I would say that there's a few things I'm curious about with Jared. I'm curious about what he does like to do in the game. Because he doesn't say. It sounds like based on the other email part that
Yeah,
it's probably raiding.
which makes sense.
So buy boosts. I know that's a crappy sounding suggestion. But anytime you're not raiding in the game, don't be subbed and use that money to buy boosts if you hate it that much. Like, I don't think Blizzard necessarily needs to offer a fast way to max level.
Mhm.
Like, it kind of doesn't make sense to me that there is a way to skip the game. Like, if you're saying, I want to play this video game, you should want to play the video game. There's a weird disconnect in my head that says, I want to play this video game, but not this huge percentage of what the game is. I only want to play this little percent over here. But I understand there are people that are different from me, and that's fine.
What?
The solution for you is you buy boosts. Like, there is not going to be a day that Blizzard ever just says, yeah, sure, skip our game for free. Like, they have given you that. Not many companies do, and that is the boost. So that is the solution if you don't like leveling. The other solution is to find a way to like leveling, which I don't know how to tell you to do.
Yeah. I mean, some people do it through PvP. Some people do it through dungeons. Personally, I like quests, and I think that it gives me enough XP fast enough.
Yeah, just do the dungeon finder. It's like a mini raid.
Yeah.
But
with new people every single time.
My guess is that he enjoys raiding with his friends, and so running dungeons with people he doesn't know probably doesn't hold the same level of appeal.
Yeah.
I would say, hey, maybe see if you have any friends who want to level up a tune with you, and then maybe you can get the experience of doing something in the game with a friend. But yeah, I don't know. It's like somebody saying, I really like playing basketball, but I hate dribbling.
You know what? We're just leaving it there because nothing can top that. So that's the end of the show, folks. No. Anyways, Jared goes on to say, I only started playing in August of 2014. I played casually up until Warlords of Draenor. Happy John. Joined my first raid team, Raiding Guild, at the time of BRF's release. And that team made it a month or two into Hellfire Citadel, then they disbanded. Since then, I haven't felt any drive or want to play anymore. Not to mention, if my search finds a cool guild on another server, I had to pay $25 to transfer, which, let's be honest, we all love Blizz here, but after $20 for WoW, 50 for WOD, and 15 a month for sub, is highway robbery business level stuff. So
you
all
can
in
call
all,
it Warlords, Ben.
I don't know. I just change every time. So all in all, I have been unsubbed for 2 months and don't plan on resubbing despite wanting to play more.
Okay.
That's interesting to me.
I know. What do you want to play? Okay.
So, you have to find a raid team to play the game that you want to play, but you have to... Okay, so either you have to level on a different server to find the raid team of your choice, or you have to pay in order to transfer, or you have to pay for a boost. So either way, you're not going to be happy, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I get it. I do. Each of those is an option. It's a barrier to entry for what you want to do. But sometimes you just have to pay the piper. And in this case, sometimes that's Blizzard.
but what I don't understand is what he actually wants to do. And Jared, I'm not trying to poke fun at you or anything like that. We're having a good time here. But seriously, man, what do you like about this game? Like, your first part says you hate leveling. You did raid, but that fell apart, so it sounds like maybe that was part of it, but then you lost all drive or desire to play anymore, so it doesn't
Well,
sound like you were even that
I,
attached to the raid team.
I think it's because the raid team left, so he didn't have a team to raid with. So that's where the drive left. So
So,
if I were to guess, Jared wants to raid.
okay, so how has he gotten tired of his main class? I feel like
No.
there's a missing piece here.
Okay, from what I can piece together, again, I could be incredibly wrong on this. He wants to find another raiding guild, but in order to do that, it has to be on a different server, and he has to level.
Okay, and he's sick of his main class. So, here's my solution. Decide if you want to play Legion or not. If the answer is yes, you actually want to play more and you're going to play in Legion, pre-order Legion. It comes with a 100 boost.
Mm-hmm.
Boost that character on the server you want to be on and of the class you want to play.
Unless it's Demon Hunter, you don't get that yet.
And then enjoy your raid team. There's your solution.
Hey, there we go.
Did
Hopefully that's what it comes down to. So, Jared, thank you for your email. Good luck. I'm sorry John was really confused. I was too a little bit.
But I just don't know. It's like the first part was like, I like basketball, but I hate dribbling. And then the second part was like, I also would rather not shoot the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Bim in the chat room makes a really good point, is that enjoying the game is often the case of finding a group of people you enjoy being around. Which, that's very true. And I can understand that if the raid team broke up, there's a good chance that maybe the guild broke up too. And if Jared's just kind of, alone in the darkness, that's not a good time. And yeah, so hopefully we're able to, point out a couple of things to bite the bullet and get you back in loving WoW.
Also, before you move to a new server, I would ask yourself why the raid team broke up.
Mm-hmm.
If it was because they were bored with the expansion and
wait till Legion
just temporarily left, there's a good chance they might come back to the game and you might have them to be around again. Or go to a different server and try again.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Moving forward, John, this is all you.
This is all me. This is from Pangarin, I think. And the subject is Cookie Cutter and the Illusion of Choice. This is referring to our episode that was all about cookie cutter builds, where we said cookie cutter builds a lot of times, if you remember, Ben.
Yes, I believe we might have mentioned cookie cutter.
Cookie cutter builds. I think we might have said that a couple times in that episode.
Yep. That being said, I enjoy Christmas cookies. Yum.
What about Christmas cookie cutter builds?
The builds
you use
That's great.
during Christmas time.
Totally great.
All right, I found this discussion very interesting. This is Pangarin, not me, about this last discussion.
I found it interesting.
Nope. Some background. I have been playing since Burning Crusade. Have went back and forth between heroic and normal, depending on what my guild and friends were into. I remember the days of the cookie cutter builds and being afraid to switch talents due to them affecting my performance and how much they used to cost. The discussion on the old talent trees compared to the new ones bring in some things you might not have considered. The old trees allowed for some uniqueness. There were some spec combinations for weird things to pop up. Frostfire mages, two-handed fury warriors, tanking shamans. Heck, leveling my first character as a shaman, I was a hybrid resto enhance that would tank, heal, and DPS dungeons. However, I do understand why cookie cutter builds became so prevalent in the game, wanting to push progression. The gold cost to switch talent, and the gold cost to switch talents. They kind of had an effect on some people not wanting to experiment. Fast forward to the present, where talents allow for people to switch up their talents at the click of a button. I don't feel like there really are cookie cutter builds. The guide to have suggestions of what is theoretically the best talent choices, but they don't account for play style or what is needed on a fight by fight basis, and prefer to think of them as a base until people become better acquainted with their class. Example, I play a Mistweaver monk. Depending on the fight, I might switch my talents as everyone is stacked together. I'll take Rushing Jade Wind. Struggling for mana, I'll take Chi Torpedo. I'm fist weaving most of the fight or need burst cooldowns when. A lot of burst is incoming damage, then I'll take dampen harm, magic damage being a pain, then diffuse magic. I tailor my talents to the fights. I also think you started having Siri write this for you at the end. Anyway, long message, but I figured I would throw in my 2 cents. Pangerin from Thrall.
From Thrall!
I don't know if I have much to add to the actual email itself, because I think it's more just somebody talking about their experience, and you can't really say, nope, I'm sorry, your experience was wrong, or yes, that was your experience. But I will say, Ben, I one thing that we did not talk a lot about in this episode, and I really find it interesting, is this concept of being able to say, this is my spec, but I'm going to dip my toe in this other spec a little bit and kind of be a little bit of both. And I think we might have mentioned it a little bit, and obviously the emailer's talking about it. Obviously, we've gotten a good ways away from that, and we're now in a place where fire mages are fire mages and frost mages are frost mages, and never the twain shall meet. Do you kind of miss that? Do you kind of wish it was a thing that you could do?
No. I mean, that's horrible, right? Here's the thing. I want to be a fire mage. I want to focus on fire. To me, the story of my fire mage is not, oh, and then I can also throw out ice bolts or blizzard or anything like that. Like, I get it that, especially Khadgar is the one who's like combining everything and throwing everything out and just being like super duper uber major dude. But I don't know. To me, it makes sense that I might have access to those things, but in a weaker state. But I'm going for fire, and that's what I am. So as long as there's some sort of AOE, as long as I have a direct damage thing, that's where the disparities would be between the different specs. And I was never really into changing them a whole bunch, or like going into other things, unless it was a specific like utility thing that I needed. And then that's where the cookie cutter build came in, so that I could see what I needed, so that I had enough points to go into like, I need a better polymorph or something, which was in Arcane. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the Burning Crusade tree, so I don't know if that was actually it or not. But it's one of those things where it's just splitting up a whole bunch isn't all that interesting to me. And I mean, now that I'm playing the monk a lot too, I'm a healer. I don't need to go around beating the crap out of everything. So I don't really care too much about switching over here. But then again, maybe it's just because I wasn't fist weaving a whole bunch like other, monks tend to do, which I guess I suck at that then. But I don't know. I see a role as that's the role, that's the story of your character.
I do wish the talent system would maybe expand a little bit at this point. When they were talking at BlizzCon about pirate talents and, all these variations on, ways you could spec your character, it built this whole big thing in my head. And the reality, when you get into the Legion beta and look at it, is it still looks very similar to what we already have. Like, very little has actually changed there.
Yeah, except you don't have like the movement tier now.
Right. Although sometimes it's still there. Actually, Rogue still has essentially what is a movement tier, but whatever. I was kind of disappointed when I saw that. I was like, oh, look, it's three abilities that all pertain. I don't know if it's movement, but they all pertain to the same thing. And I remember kind of saying, weren't they getting away from that? But
Mhm.
um,
Well, not the final build. We'll just say that.
I think that that could be expanded to have a lot more fun options to pick and ways for players to customize their character. I feel like the talent system that we currently have would be a really cool way for you to do some really amazing fun things to make your character stand out and be unique. And
Mhm.
right now it's a little constrained by how small it is, in my opinion.
Well,
Um,
see, the thing is that all depends on what talents they have, because a lot of the talent choices that people seem to harken back to is, oh, there's so many different options, when a lot of it was 3% extra damage
right.
here and all that stuff. So if it's more ability focused, like talents to kind of choose from and play around with and everything, that makes sense. And that is something that I'd actually be quite all right with.
Right. I'd love to see more flavor added to it. Like, even as far as like, okay, so we all know that the outlaw rogue is going to have a move where they pull out a pistol and shoot somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like a talent tier where it's like, okay, well, instead of a pistol, he pulls out like a mini hand crossbow, or instead of a pistol, he hurls a throwing knife at them. Ways to change the move without changing the balance of the game, but
But see,
allows me to build my character in a more unique and interesting way.
that I would argue would be more glyph based. So a glyph that can change it into a little mini crossbow or a throwing knife or something like
I
that.
don't disagree with you, but I guess what I'm saying is I hate the glyph system.
Yeah,
And
but
that I think I would have more fun with a nice little grid and like here's a row of talents and I just pick the one I want, or redoing the glyph system to where I do like it, which is very
so
possible too.
how about this? There's talents and then there's cosmetic talents.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Add
Yeah.
more tiers to it so you unlock them at more levels. They could probably even find a way to do it where it was like every 10 or every 5. It would even let them rebalance it in such a way to where maybe we're getting closer back to the days of you get something at
Mm-hmm.
every level or every other level like
Yeah,
they
just have
used
so
to.
many more cosmetic things going on. That would be cool.
But I do agree. Like this is a definition of what glyphs are in this game. I just don't like where glyphs are at right now, and we'll see
Yeah.
how I feel about them in Legion. But that's the only reason I'm not saying like, yeah, it's the glyph system because
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the glyph system.
Well, let's explore that a little bit more. So, okay, we have cosmetic talents, which I mean, you and I have both said, till we're blue in the face that this game needs more personalization cosmetically.
Yeah,
So, this is where you could do like maybe different colors for spell effects or something like that, different weapon animations or something along those lines, just little things like that. I like this idea.
yeah, I'm with you. Um, and I also think so. I've been playing a lot of Star
Mhm.
Wars: The Old Republic.
Yes, you have.
Been playing a lot of it. And one of the things I love about that game is that you can unlock abilities from other classes on your other classes. So
Mhm.
what that means basically is yeah, I'm a Republic trooper. I'm basically a stormtrooper. I'm running around, I'm shooting guys. But they have this legacy system where it's like that Republic trooper is actually related to my Jedi Knight or my Sith Lord. So that Republic trooper, when the moment is right and he's feeling it, can force choke somebody, which is really friggin' cool. And they do a good way of balancing it, which is you can only use it when this one particular buff is running on you. That buff
Mhm.
can't be used in PvP combat, so you don't ever have to worry about it being imbalanced in that regard. There's a cooldown attached to it, so it's not totally imbalancing the game.
Yeah.
But I love that idea of like, no, my character can tap into this and use this ability from somewhere else. I would love to see something like that in WoW. Like,
Well,
oh,
the
you
funny
got a
thing
level
is,
100 mage, you can cast Blizzard if you want, but it's only during this one time. Like, you have to really be feeling it. It's like going Super Saiyan. You have to be powered up, and then you can use it.
It's kind of similar. I mean, this isn't exactly what you're going for, but do you remember Symbiosis?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I was so sad when they took that away because as a mage, I had a heal if someone hit me with Symbiosis. It was great. I could just do a random heal on myself or someone else, which it actually came in handy in a pinch every now and then. But it was very limited to the class and spec that the other person was playing, that the druid would cast it, and it would change entirely on what they got for themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something like that could be kind of cool, but it doesn't make as much sense to take. I don't. Well, I guess it's just. I don't know. I don't think it makes as much sense in WoW for you to be able to tap into other classes, but why not? I mean, I have no argument there. That's the thing.
Well,
Is
it's
why
true
not?
because we're not filling out family trees, although it's very possible that your characters are related. They
Yep.
just don't have a system that mechanically equates to that. But I think it would be cool if you say, like, okay, well, I really like my rogue, but he's really weak at, like, self healing, like,
Mhm.
badly. I'm going to level up a druid or something like that. And by getting max level druid, I gain access to a series of like druidic spells that I can pull in, and I could take in like a healing one. And now I've got that as just another way to customize and enhance my druid.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is a priority. I don't know that this is something I want even that badly, but in the realm of talking about being able to branch into other paths and talent trees and stuff like that, I think it would be pretty cool if they found a way to do something along those
Well, and
lines.
I can see maybe being able to choose like a spell or two from each of the other specs.
Right.
That would work. That would make sense because it's still within your own actual class.
Right.
So, yeah, interesting.
Or maybe a passive perk, like you unlock the ability to. So let's take a look at paladins, for example.
Hmm.
Let's say you're playing a prot paladin. Maybe you're able to unlock a like a more passive like secondary bonus, and you go into healing, and now as a result you get a self heal type spell that you can cast, or a benefit that gives you a nice big heal every now and then,
Yeah,
because you've chosen that as your secondary.
which that'd be great on my paladin tank. I'll tell you that. I can just give myself an even better self heal. That'd be great.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyways, thank you very much, Pangorian, whatever, from Thrall.
Thrall. Speaking
Uh,
of names that start with th.
yes, our last email tonight is from Thugs. So Thugs, thank you very much for sending it in, and that's the show. So, no, just kidding. Anyways, okay, so this actually the subject line was tonight's show with Pat Crane, which that was I think 2 or 3 episodes ago we had Pat on.
So this one
And
is not as old.
yeah, I think that's actually when we were talking about cookie cutter builds. Maybe I could be wrong.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
That was so
Anyways,
long. That was last year, Ben.
I know, so long
That
ago.
was so
Anyways,
last year.
so Thug says, with the really interesting articles by Zupercat, I've taken a lot of time to think about talents and how they play out in game, and had a few questions for you gentlemen. Do you prefer talents on a tier to Okay, this may be answering the question already. Do you prefer talents on a tier to perform very, very close to one another, allowing for personal choice with minimal output loss, or do you prefer to have talents that perform very strong in certain situations? Well, John, what do you think?
My ideal version, if I was building the talent system, I would
Mhm.
take what we have now and I would expand it, and I would have tiers like we were talking about that are purely cosmetic benefits,
Mhm.
that are there to enhance the fantasy of your class. That doesn't mean that it's always one for one. So the example I gave was a pistol, a crossbow, or a throwing knife. It could mean multiple things with regards to, we've got that grappling hook that a rogue has.
Mhm.
Maybe instead of that, you get a backwards roll or a big, running sprint or something like that. Doesn't always have to be a one for one, but
Mhm.
basically it's mostly flavor. It's not changing your damage output or how you're attacking or anything like that. In between those talents would be the places where you would pick options that change the way you play the game. Maybe one makes you better at AoE, maybe one makes you better at single target, maybe one focuses more on damage over time. for the most basic level example possible.
Yeah. So
Um,
so for you, it's a mixture of what he's saying.
yeah, I would do both. I think the
Okay.
game needs both. I think when you look at this game and you look at how popular transmog is,
Mm-hmm.
to me that paints a very clear picture that WoW players want ways to make their characters stand out and feel unique and feel customizable. And that's what I would very much like to see more of in the game.
Yeah, and I have to actually agree with you on that because I don't know. I'm not one for changing talents around a whole lot. I have a couple times, but that was back on my mage when I wasn't enjoying maging and I was trying to get the best I could out of every fight. And here's the thing, like changing the tiny little things where you have to actually calculate, okay, is this a benefit versus another one? Not so much fun. So I like the minimal output loss between a couple different things. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I do like the idea that there are going to be, or like you said, John, how there are tiers where there is an actual difference in what you're choosing. So it's not just the movement tier. It's the, okay, this one is going to make my ice bolts do this cool thing, where this right here is actually going to make my blizzard do something really awesome. And then this third one is something I can't think of right now because, whatever. It makes my um ice block better or something. It's like I like the idea of having the options and where they actually matter, but I still haven't gotten into the habit of changing in a case by case situation. So once I get my head totally wrapped around that and fight by fight or something, then maybe I'll be a lot more happy about actually switching the talents. But I like having both options there.
Yeah, and so to bring into this next bit, because I feel like this also gets into it a little bit. What I was going to say,
Mm-hmm.
do you find or think that the community discussion is improved by debating marginal differences in talent performance? No, I wish this game did not have it. I wish this game's difficulty curve was set around a place where if you don't like changing your talents around and min-maxing and finding out ideal builds, you can very easily get through normal level rating without much
Mm-hmm.
effort.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
should be the balance benchmark. I feel like if you're going to be the kind of people that min max, that choose talents, that adjust depending on the situation, you are speaking to a higher level audience, and that should be what heroic and mythic rating is.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be where your difficulty lies. And I feel like if they tune it that way, then you don't have to worry so much about this or have these levels of discussions in the base level WoW community.
Yeah, I agree. And even LFR isn't at that, I think, because you still have issues with people who choose a wrong talent, and it could make them so weak compared to what they're supposed to be doing that it is not, I mean, no one has a good time there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, totally agree with that. I can't add anything to it, actually. Then the last thing that Thug says is, do you think strong situational talents could improve the discussion because people would have to discuss the context with a talent choice? Would that work to improve the community discussion?
Um,
The higher level rating and everything like that, I really think that contextual situations make more sense in that discussion than, oh, well, I got a 1% increase on my damage by choosing this one.
right.
Yeah, it's more interesting because then you're talking about actual gameplay as opposed to just pure numbers. You know, I've talked to other mages about certain fights or whatever where it's okay. On this fight, I use this because of this, and I'm like, really, why? And they start talking about what they're doing, how they play, and everything. It's like way back when we had, I'm totally blanking on his name. I feel horrible by forgetting. The monk on that was talking to you about Siege of Orgrimmar, about teleporting up onto the conveyor belt.
Oh, right.
Yeah, granted, now Yuki. Granted, you weren't able to successfully do it,
Oh, I did later,
but oh,
eventually.
you did, okay.
And then
But
after killing myself a
mhm.
couple times as a result, I decided it was just better to not bother with it.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that discussion actually brought something new gameplay wise to you, so that you can try it out and look at the game a different way. And those sorts of discussions, I think, are incredibly rich. And it's one of the things that we do on the show. We like talking about just different aspects of different things. And if someone could, open my eyes to something that I hadn't thought about in a certain fight with, a talent that actually changes something, then I think that everyone's for the better at that point.
Yeah, I don't think this ever gets good until talent diversity gets more interesting.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think anybody is interested in a discussion where it comes down to, hey, on such and such fight, pick talents that do more AoE damage.
Mhm.
Like, that's a boring conversation nobody cares, nobody's interested in having. But if you can say, like, hey, for this class, if you pick this talent in this encounter, you get to bypass this mechanic, or you get an easier time with this mechanic.
Mhm.
That's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's not that Blizzard can really tune every fight for something like that, but depending on how they build out the talents, those things might actually just organically appear.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Thugs, thank you very much for your email. If you would like to email us and be on our
Next
January
year.
1st, 2017 email episode, hopefully we'll be able to get to them. We're going to do better about actually like answering these, and we'll have set shows set aside at some point, throughout if we're not able to get to them. But go ahead and email us at azerotht@gmail.com. That is the website where you can, or the website, that is the email address where you can send all those things. John, how can people find you?
If people want to hear more from me, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at John_Jagger. You can catch me on Core.
Gore!
It's only one core in the title, but
Okay.
that is the Heroes of the Storm podcast that I do. And if you want to hear award-winning advertisements, you can listen to Azeroth Roundtable, where I'll tell you about our t-shirt, which is available at slashloot.com. Just go to podcasts and you can find the official Azeroth Roundtable t-shirt along with our logo. I'll also tell you about our Azeroth Roundtable keychain and necklace, which is available at geekasylum.etsy.com. You know what, Ben? It's a new year. You need to start the new year with some new gear.
Mm-hmm.
You hear?
Yes, you do.
So
yes.
Do not fear.
Go ahead and cheer.
You know it. And get it done.
Good enough. That'll do, John. That'll do.
What about you, Ben?
If you're looking for me, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Ben the Mage. I also do Geektopia, which is going to be coming back soon, as well as Battle Pets. This show, however, we are on Azeroth, or we are at Azeroth RT on Twitter. Like I said, email us at azerothroundtable@gmail.com. And of course, all of our shows are found on azerothroundtable.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and also TuneIn. As for this show, John, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for sending us all of those emails, everybody. And if you want to hear more of our intro music, you can always listen to Volatile Reaction by Kevin MacLeod. And the rest of his stuff is at incompetech.com. That's a weird way to close the show.
Good job, Ben.
Well, thank you. All right, we are done recording.
That's the end of the recording.
Yeah, now it's the deep cut.
Oh, the deepest cut.
The deepest cut of all.
That sounds so emo.
I guess.
Welcome to the deepest cut with Ben and John.
Just call me Kylo Ben.
Wait, you don't eat...
You don't know what to say to that one, do you?
I know exactly what I want to say. I don't know if I should say it.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Ben rhymes with Ren.
No, not what I was going to
I
say.
know. I know what you're going to say. And everybody in the chat room who's seen the movie knows what you're going to say. But we're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. I'm just saying you don't need the Kylo part.
I know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
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 Oh my, I had my butt open this entire time.
Gross.
No, the program.
Ben, close your butt. The world doesn't want to know.
The program. Thanks to Twitch. Your Twitch Your stream is unwatchable, but I can stream the top 10 streamers without end lag. Not impressed.
Why is
Oh, you,
it?
you can't stream the top 10 streamers without. Okay, I misread. I thought that Dark Okies was gonna be like mean to us for a second. I'm like,
Thanks
hey,
to Twitch, your stream is unwatchable.
but I can't stream the top 10
No, he
streamers.
says, but I can
I
stream.
know, but there should be a T in there without any lag. Not impressed. Wait,
Dark Okies, I'm having trouble figuring out what you're saying.
yeah.
Oh, it's been super choppy? Sorry,
Uh,
that might be me. I'm set at a very high bit rate for gaming, and I forgot to lower it for
uh,
this. So I'm probably taxing my internet connection a bit.
oh,
But it could be Twitch, too.
yeah.
Because Twitch
Twitch.
is
Well,
frequently awful.
let's put it this way: we don't have thousands upon thousands of viewers, so they wouldn't give us more bandwidth.
Yeah, we don't get their bandwidth. So
Yeah,
it's fine.
pretty much.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Although
fine.
on my screen, like, I haven't noticed too much.
I haven't
So
either.
I
Everything
don't
seems
know.
fine to me.
But I don't know. I pay more attention to the chat than I do the actual stream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Spaz, as in the top 10, have extra help to stop them from going offline. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, John, with that, I think that's a show.
That's a show. Feels like
Yeah.
it's been so long, Ben.
I know. I went out of town and came back since we last had a show.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a crazy world we live in.
It's great. I had a nice time visiting my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
have a Christmas present for you, too. It's something very tiny and small, so don't worry about it. But at some point, I need to come over and give it to you.
All right. Well, I look forward to that.
All right. With that, everybody, thank you very much and have a wonderful night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
This is fun. I have control of when we stop streaming, so now we've said goodbye and it's still going.
Yeah, I know. I have work I have to do, though, so
Yeah,
I can't stand so
I should
long.
let you go.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.